Hey everyone, it's your favorite real estate agent from Las Vegas, Robert Steim, Steim Realty Network. Wanted to bring you this week's market update from the Las Vegas Valley for May 17th, 2023. We've got focusing on single family residences, and the inventory continues to drop. So my main question going into this week is, where the heck's all this inventory? We're still hoping that we get some more, but literally every single week now, since November 9th, we've seen inventory drop every single week, no break. It's killing me. we need to see some more houses on the market for a few different reasons. But anyways, if you look at the numbers, we're down almost a full 5% from the last week. So we went from 3,650 down to 3,478. So as that number continues to shrink, that means buyers have less options when they're shopping. If they're picky, might not find the house that they're looking for just because of the limited selection. If they miss a house that they were really into, then a little bit tougher to replace it because there's not a dozen houses coming on the market right behind it to replace that. And then from a seller standpoint, you just have less competition, so they can hold a little bit more firm on their price, and they may or may not be willing to negotiate on terms like closing costs and just any flexibility for the buyer, because the demand and the buyers in the market just don't have as many options. So that's something we want to keep in mind. So depending if you're on the buyer side of things, that factors into how you negotiate, how quickly you want to act if you do find something you like. From a seller standpoint, it might factor into your pricing strategy. It might come into play when you're negotiating, repairs or closing costs or just general terms that might be more favorable because buyers have less options. So all that is very important when it comes down to how we attack things from either side. And if we look at the November 9th number of 8,223, that's the last peak that we had in terms of inventory, down almost 58% now. So that's just been a crazy run. I'm just looking forward to a week where we see an increase in the inventory and start to loosen things up so people have a few more options out there. But the average sales price decreased a little bit, about 3%. So from 548,000 and change down to 532,000 and change. This number again factors in the multi-million-dollar homes that sell. So if we have any given week where more sell than normal, then that drives the average up. So I don't pay as much attention to that, but it's good to know. But we do pay a little bit more attention to the median sales price, which technically decreased, but basically the same, 441 versus 440. So that's the total number of houses, and the one that's the most common in the middle. What's the median sales price? That hasn't changed much. So over the past several weeks, really the activity has been pretty steady. It's the spring, heading into the summer buying, selling season. We have seen the prices pretty much stay steady. They bounced up and down just a little bit for the most part, staying pretty steady. The inventory keeps dropping. Interest rates have been pretty steady. So those are all things that factor into our advice when we give them with our clients and any strategies that people want to go after. So average days on the market increased slightly. So 47 days on the market versus 46 days on the market last week. No big deal, but all things being equal, just a basic house, basic marketing strategy, blah, blah, blah. On average, we're looking at 47 days on the market. So we look at the total inventory. Now we're down to 3,478 divided by the number of sales that took place this past week, 434. That puts us at about 8 weeks of inventory. It was 9.2, last week due to higher number of inventory, but also a slightly lower number of sales that took place. We're looking at the definition again of a seller's market. Anything that's less than 6 months of inventory, generally the seller has the upper hand. If we get to a point where we have more than 6 months of inventory, then the buyers usually have a little bit more leverage. At 8 weeks, we're at 2 months of inventory. So still very much a seller's market if we go by that measure. And then looking at notice of defaults, so we had another 44 filings this past week. So we're looking at 916 new filings over the past 19 weeks. So that continues to climb, something we want to keep an eye on. If those do turn into foreclosures and they keep on snowballing as people come out of forbearance from the lockdowns and the stuff that they did for the virus stuff, that can turn into people falling behind and defaults and foreclosures, and just the economy and inflation. All those things are factors. So we're just keeping an eye on that number. And then if we look at the number of contracts that were written and put into place this week, 656, that's up about 8.6% over last week. So activity's still been picking up, still been strong. Properties officially sold this week, 434 versus last week of 397. So that's up over 9%. So we've seen the increase in activity. So that means the demand has gone up a little bit, but the supply continues to dwindle. So that's maybe some tough news that we got to deal with if it keeps on going through the summer. So key factors driving the real estate market. So where's the inventory? That's the question I'm going to keep asking. We're trying to find people that want to sell their home. However, a lot of people are choosing to hold on to them, to rent them out, wait to see what happens with interest rates. There's just a lot of indecisiveness going on right now as far as what people want to do with their current properties. And then the notice of default's on the rise. So that could, in fact, at some point turn into inventory for us. If the banks do end up foreclosing, they take possession of them, start putting them on the market. If people do decide to sell, we could start seeing short sales again, because technically our price has gone down over year, but we've been pretty steady lately, and we might, again, with the inventory being so low, it's tough to imagine the price is going to keep dropping, and we've actually gone up the last 3 months at least, just a little bit. So keeping that stuff in mind, and then the interest rates influencing buyer activity. So the interest rates have remained fairly high compared to the 3% that we got used to, but it is becoming the new normal, as you can see there also. It's been around now. I mean, rates have been increasing since spring of last year, into the summer, into the fall, into the winter. And I think people have gotten used to the fact that this is just interest rates now. And so that's where we're seeing the activity. You can only wait so long when you have to move, when you have a job relocation, when your family's growing, when your family's shrinking, whatever the case might be. Those needs can only be put off so long, and then people just have to accept where we're at right now. So we'll keep an eye on all those things. We'll keep going with that. Inventory levels, activity, so supply, demand, and interest rates, we're just keeping an eye on also. And my biggest takeaway from this week is the 3,478 homes that are currently on the market is the lowest it's been since May of last year, 2022. So we did see over the summer months and the fall and the winter, we did see inventory come up last year, but that was because the interest rates were spiking, and I think that made sense that people were putting their house on the market, not getting as much activity. I'm very interested to see the next few months. Are we going to keep seeing inventory drop, or will we see more sellers bring their houses on the market and give us a few more options to pick from? So anyways, hopefully this helps. And as always, you can contact me with the contact information below by phone or email. And I appreciate you guys' support of the channel. Please feel free to make a comment and like and subscribe and help me out and share this with everybody that might be interested. And I will catch you next time. Thanks so much.